Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Case Fitness. It's Friday and you know what that means. It's time for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around your house. And man, it's been a weird week and I really apologize for canceling Wednesday so last minute. It was a combination of physical illness and it's just a bad depression flare-up this week. And you know, sometimes you don't notice that that's what's happening until you're pulling out of it. And then you're like, oh, that explains a lot of what transpired here. So yeah, it was an unexpectedly hard week for various reasons, but we're here and we're back on the stream, and that is always a good feeling. Because I don't like missing class. I do not enjoy it. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody's understanding. And I'm really glad that I have so many VODs up. Oh my God, was that VOD not a blast from the frickin' past? Like, that was from way back at the beginning of my streaming. That was almost a year ago, I think, that one. And, you know, I had only just started actually pulling the VODs down and putting them up on YouTube. And that's the sad thing. It's like, I'll never see those original classes again. They're gone. They're lost to the winds of time, which I suppose is very much like teaching physical classes, like in-person classes. So, you know, it's not unusual, but yeah, oh man, what a different look. I didn't have the logo back then. I didn't have the really nice cards set up. Man, everything was so different. Oh, hi everybody. We've made it to the end of a week, and thank goodness. I am so glad to have made it to the end of a week. And it is beautiful and green out. The leaves have fully officially come in. So all I can really see is green out this window, which y'all know how much I love that. But yeah, it's been a weird week. You know, very good in many ways and kind of hard in other ways. And you know, life is really frustrating like that. Like, its ability to be both hard and good at the same time. It's like, can't you be one or the other? Just so that I can figure out how to approach you. But, no, shoo. Sorry, weird alarms. I use alarms a lot in my daily life to try and keep track of where I am in time and what needs to be done. And some of them are more effective than others, but, you know, the trick is to identify when an alarm is no longer working for you and turn it off, because otherwise it starts to devalue all the rest of the alarms and then you start ignoring them as well. But hi everybody. I hope that you've had a less stressful week. I hope that you are doing pretty well on this Friday afternoon. There's definitely stuffy in my streaming office Friday afternoon. You would think that I would have figured this out by now. But I haven't, because some things take a while to make their way through processing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some weight training today. I don't think that I have the energy in me for a cardio or a Tabata focus class, but I think that weight training is going to be just the ticket for today. And I hope that you're excited about that too. And again, this is only our second time at our new time for this class, so 5 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. So hopefully that's working well for y'all. It's definitely, I'm still having to get used to it. And I feel like it will be, I'll like feel more confident in the time change once, you know, there are actually things that I want to do on Friday nights that will benefit from my not being in class until 7 at night. But it still feels really weird. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be teaching yet, right? I'm supposed to have a whole other hour. My internal chronometer is confused. But here we are. and it's 5, and it's time for some weight training. If you are brand new to Functional Home Fitness, welcome. This is where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house, because yes, to weight train, you do not need fancy gym equipment. You do not need dumbbells and kettlebells. You can, and you know, obviously, if you want to start ramping up your challenge rating for the activities that you're doing, then you will probably benefit from building out a more professional weight collection. Like, you know, as we get more into the activities that we're doing, it makes more sense to buy equipment that may help us. But if you're just starting out, or you just don't have the money because shit's expensive, you can get such a good weight training workout using just stuff you can find around the house, okay? And that's my goal. That's the goal here, is not to say, oh, why is anybody out there working out with dumbbells when they could be just using their laundry detergent bottle? Because that's silly. There are very obvious reasons why we use dumbbells and kettlebells, and I talk about them a lot. But if you don't have them to hand, you don't need to skip your workout. And this ties in really well to the creativity in movement and fitness that we are always trying to build out. So if you are brand new, a couple of advisories that I usually give to people. The first one is specific to this class. So we are using things that are not ergonomically designed. They're not balanced weight-wise, and they definitely do not have the amount of weight that they are nicely written on the side, like our gym equipment. So if this is your first class, hopefully you've gathered together a bunch of stuff. Err on the side of caution when you're loading, okay? So don't go for the heaviest stuff right off the bat. Test things out. Test lighter things out. Get to the end of a set, and then you can go, all right, I think I can actually ramp up to something heavier, or, ooh, no, that ended up being a lot more than I was expecting, and I definitely want to sort of leave it there. So get used to the stuff that you have on hand. And once you've found things that work for you, don't feel the need to like keep switching it up, all right? I used to try to do that way too much. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be switching things up, and I don't do that anymore. You see, I've basically just completely defaulted to my good old laundry detergent bottle with occasional other things in there, but it's just it's something that I know how to use. It's something that has an amount of weight that works for me. So yeah, once you find objects that feel good, that work well for you, stick with them, okay? The other advisory is more general to free weight training, particularly arm free weight training. We are not symmetrical creatures. We have stronger sides and weaker sides, and there's a tendency when we're doing free weight training, which involves us having 2 weights of the same amount of weight, 1 in each hand, and moving the arms independently of one another to move the weight through space. And we have a tendency to think, well, if I want to strengthen up my weaker side, then what I need to do is I need to load it more heavily. I need to load it for as much weight as my stronger side can handle, and that'll help strengthen it up. No, always load based on the capacity of your weaker side, okay? Because if you're overloading your weaker side, you are not strengthening it up more quickly. What you are doing is putting yourself at risk of injury, because your weaker side does not have the capacity to handle that amount of weight. It may end up having to do unhealthy compensations just to try and perform the exercise. It increases your risk of injuring yourself. And it's one of those things that makes sense as soon as you think about it. But if you don't hear someone say it, you might not think of it. You might, like, the other thing makes sense until you think about it. But too many people end up with injuries that they did not need to have for this very reason. So always load based on the capacity of your weaker side. Because your stronger side, you know, it may be like, all right, this is a little easier than it could be, but it's not going to be injured, okay? So those are our things. So let's go through our pre-class checklist. What do you say? What do you say? You've got your water in whatever vessel you are using. Oh yeah. You've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. You've got your random equipment. I've got my trusty laundry detergent bottle there, and I think I will probably grab, I might actually, so I would usually do this with books, but I might actually grab a couple of dumbbells for something today. But don't worry, I will tell you what objects around your house are good for this particular exercise. Hello, good, you've got your cat. That's an important part of the pre-class checklist. And if you do use a fitness wearable, now's the time to turn them on. Not high intensity interval training. Today we are going for traditional strength training setting, because other than the warm up, we're not going to really have any HIIT activities today. So if we got all that going, and I've got that going, and I've got this thing here, and Amanda has her cat, then I think we can get started with our warm up. Hiya! All right. Oh my goodness. What a week. Just, you know what? Before we go anywhere, let's just adjust our mats. Make sure they're actually in position. There we go. And then let's just take a couple of quick deep breaths. Just set to ourselves. Be like, hey, I'm here on this mat. I'm gonna have a good workout, and that's gonna be awesome, okay? So get whatever yawns out of the way that you need to. And then just sit here for just a second. Just close your eyes super briefly. Let your shoulders relax. And just take a couple of deep breaths. Here we go. In. And out. And in. And out. And in. And out. All right. We are here. We are here. It's been a week of some kind for all of us. And regardless of what kind of week it has been, we're here. And that's awesome. So let's get this warm up going. Do I have the app? That's not the app. There's the app. All right. All right, my dears. On your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as you hear that horn go off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. All right? Yeah. There we are. Oh, man. I talked with so I have a friend of mine right now who is working on a startup in the D&D space, and he has another friend who is doing this concept around workouts that are also sort of like fantasy storytelling experiences. So like you have a workout program, but also like a D20 with you. And I haven't tried any of the programs yet, so I can't say exactly what they're like, but I love the concept because there's definitely something to be said for adding that fun sort of fantasy element, storytelling element, you know, when I think of people who might be a little hesitant to try a new activity, or, you know, who've been wanting to start exercising but don't really know where to start. Something like this, I feel like, could be a really fun way to introduce like tabatas and those types of training principles. So this week or next week, I suppose, I'm gonna check out some of the programs and see how they are. And I will keep y'all posted on what I discover. But I feel like this could be a really cool, nerdy resource for all of us folks who enjoy D&D and also fitness or just exercise. So that was really cool. I really like that idea, and I've used similar things in the past. There's that one app, oh god, what's it called? Zombies Run, I think. And it's a running app, and you know, you set yourself up to go for a run, and then you're playing the story in your headphones as you're going, and you pick up equipment as you go, and occasionally you're chased by zombies and you have to, you know, up your pace in order to get away from them, and then there's a whole sort of like resource management base building component in the app itself with whatever you collect on your runs. It was really cool the few times that I used it, and I really like that concept, and I feel like it definitely could be used in a variety of ways, not just with zombies, because zombies freak me out, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't really keep going with this particular thing. But I think it's a great concept, and it's just, you know, A, making sure that the storytelling is awesome, and B, you know, making sure that the workouts are good and are, you know, leveled appropriately. I could definitely see like a leveling structure for people, in terms of like what recommendations that they could get for different workouts. So yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I think that could be really, really freaking cool. My own D&D campaign, not one I'm DMing, but one I've been playing in for over a year, is on hiatus right now. So gotta find our way to storytelling somehow. But yeah, that was one of the fun discoveries that I made today, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Wow, that peace lily really does perk up so quickly. I don't know if any of you have ever cared for a peace lily before, a Japanese peace lily, which is a plant, I must confess, that I bought because of the movie Hot Fuzz, because Simon Pegg's character owns a Japanese peace lily and takes it with him everywhere, and at one point, you know, hits a bad guy in the head with it. And they're actually really great plants to have because they are incredibly forgiving, and pretty easy to keep alive. And when they need water and haven't been watered appropriately, they will just very melodramatically droop everything down, and basically within, you know, 10-20 minutes of putting water on them, they're like, oh, okay, I'm back. So they're just kind of beautifully melodramatic as plants. I need to repot mine. I need to repot basically every plant in the house right now, because they're all just sort of bursting at the seams of in their current pots, and it's just one of those things where I'm still a relatively new plant parent, and I've never repotted something before, and there's at least one plant that I have this beautiful mahogany bush, I guess. I don't think I'm actually literally growing a tree, but I'm at the very least growing mahogany bush. And it's got like 3 or 4 like babies who are growing in the same pot, who are all just like going crazy. And so I'm like, well, this is like literally 5 plants in this one pot. We need to do something about this. We need to get everybody out of there and into their own spaces, get the babies into other pots of their own so that they can grow, and then I can hopefully give them away to friends of mine who are also awkward plant parents. Oh, that's one of the things that never made its way back to me. I was over at a friend's house the other night and I had to leave early, and a plant was supposed to be sent home with me, but I don't think it ever made its way home. Curses. See, this is one of those things. Here's the problem. Every instinct in my brain right now is telling me to immediately text and be like, hey, what happened to the plant? Because otherwise I'm going to forget about it again, and I really do want this plant. You know, but I'm also working out, so forgive me. I'm just going to send a really quick text. Oh my God. It's just, this is the problem with, you know, I know myself, and I do know that if I don't send this now, I will forget about it. All right. Well, y'all are hopefully doing your scorpion twists right now. I have sent that text and now can join you. Yeah, that was from like last weekend or something like that. So the longer I go without asking about it, the more likely I will never see this particular plant baby. And I want to, because it would be a very wonderful addition to my office. And that is something I would very much like. I'm trying to build out my office and you know, make it a space that I enjoy spending time in, which is important, and yet not something that I've ever put a ton of time into. But I've been feeling the desire to. I've been feeling the desire to really actually try and figure out what's going on with my office. And a plant is a good first step, particularly a plant that doesn't need a ton of light, because basement offices, it's remarkably light during the day, but it doesn't get direct light. Absolutely not. And that can impact more than I thought it would. So I'm also thinking about getting like one of those sort of like sunlight lamps. One of those lamps that are supposed to mimic that experience and help you be happier in, you know, darker winter times and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think plant will be the first thing that shows up, assuming I can locate it. But all right, look at us go. Look at us go doing our squats, making sure those knees are going straight over the feet, not caving in towards one another. So if your knees are caving towards one another, always remember to narrow your stance. All right. Oh yeah. The Samson stretches are just so satisfying after a work day, particularly if you sit at a desk all day. It is just so nice to be able to stretch out those hip flexors and really activate the hips in a way that they do not get when you're sitting in a chair all day. So I always am grateful for this particular stretch. I don't think there is ever a day when we do it and I'm like, I didn't really feel like I needed that. Every time I'm like, oh no, I needed that. Most definitely. All right. Da, da, da. Now we get our nice wide squat with our shoulder twists. So we're getting that twist in to the upper spine. We've already activated the lower to mid spine with those scorpion twists. So now the upper spine gets its turn. Everything else is being held still. So we're not bouncing up and down out of the squat. We're not letting a knee sort of follow, cave in when we twist that shoulder in. That can be really common. Thankfully, we have our hands on our knees, and that helps us to keep them levered out in place as opposed to trying to follow along. So you don't have to worry too much about it, I don't think, but if you do feel that, then remember that you need to make sure that you are keeping those knees over the feet. Look at me, I actually remembered to do my jumping jacks on the mat today. Woohoo! It always takes a little bit, but eventually the habits come through, and that's always a relief. Hopefully my knees will appreciate not doing jumping jacks 4 days a week on this wood flooring, which is, you know, and we've talked about this. It's obviously a better material than concrete, for example, but still not great. Still not great. So having something a little more flexible is always good. All right, come down to our kick throughs. And remembering to pay attention. We don't want to sink all the way down, so we want that standing leg at a 90-degree angle and the knee pointing up towards the ceiling. I fell, which is why suddenly I'm here. And we can move relatively slowly and calmly from side to side. And then as you get more confident with the exercise, you can start to speed up. You can sort of jump in the center, you know, but you don't have to, all right? If you want to keep going sort of slow and steady with it, that is a-okay, because there are a lot of components to the movement, and we want to make sure that we are not rushing ourselves or setting ourselves up for an injury along the way. All right, finishing out with our burpees. Yeah, fun times. Nice big victory clap up at the top. Wave push-up, not a plank, and making sure that those elbows are staying right in by the sides as you do the push-up. Yeah, good job, everybody. And now it's water time. Whew. You could totally squat Clara. I don't know that would go well for either of you, but you're welcome to try. Yeah, zombies. And I remember too, like the first time that I got to one of those sections where it was like, oh, the zombies are chasing you, and you know, they had the like sound effects. And it's in my ears because it's through my headphones. I was just like, ooh, no, I don't like this. Do not like this. Oh, water. Water's great. All right. Lilies and cats do not mix. That is 100% true and very important to keep in mind. If you own a cat, do not get a lily of any kind. It's not just eating the plant, it's the pollen from the plant. So just don't have a lily in your home, all right? Extremely toxic to our kitty friends. And we love our kitty friends. We don't want to poison them accidentally. No, I've never replanted anything. That's one of the reasons why I'm like dragging my freaking heels. Because I'm like, I don't know what I do, and I especially don't know what I do with the one pot that has literally 5 plants in it. 1 a full grown and 4 babies. Oh, good, tips are incoming. I'm gonna let the tips come through in the chat and talk about what we're gonna do. I think today, we're gonna focus on arms. Ooh, I guess I should get like actually in the camera rather than just standing at that awkward angle. We're gonna focus on arms. Arms and abdominals, I think. So I'm gonna do, I don't have to have it on the mat. I can have it back here. So you're gonna wanna, well, you're not necessarily gonna need a chair, but if you are, one of the things we're gonna do is one-armed bicep curls. And if you want to try for a heavier weight, then what you can do is from a seated position, have your elbow on your knee, and you use that to help stabilize, okay? So it just helps you to manage the weight a little bit more effectively, all right? So, if you're using something that's lighter, you don't have to do that. You can absolutely sort of stand and lift like that, but this thing is heavy, and I am definitely gonna want to protect my arm and my shoulder a little bit better. So I'm gonna do it from a seated position, okay? And then we're gonna do our weighted obliques, which I very much enjoy. It's just a fun ab exercise. So balancing on our tailbone, holding the weight in front of us, crunching the obliques to turn the torso, which brings the weight to one side, and then the other side. Remembering that we are not actively like lifting this weight around. The weight is staying right at my chest. And the difference is as I engage the obliques, they will move my entire torso, weight included, from one side to the other, okay? And then fourth exercise is going to be this sort of 1 dumbbell front raise. So usually I would do it with a dumbbell. I'm going to use a textbook and hold it in front of me, lift it up to about shoulder height, and lower, and lift, and lower. If you are using a dumbbell, you just hold the dumbbell from the handle like this, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. And maybe each time change which hand is on the top, okay? Obviously, when we're using the book, our arms are in a slightly different position because they're not, you know, one over the other. They're parallel to one another. So it's just a small modification that we make because of the equipment that we have on hand. All right, I'm gonna grab a quick thing of water. I'm gonna look at the chat real quickly, and then we are gonna dive in. Your legs are achy death today. Look at that. Look at that. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Yeah, I do usually try to, you know, cover all the major muscle groups in this class, but some days you do want to sort of focus in on specific areas. So yeah, we're gonna have actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do side 1 of bicep curls, side 2 of bicep curls, weighted obliques, 1 dumbbell front raise, weighted obliques again, and then go back to the bicep curls. So there will actually be 5 rounds per set, and we're gonna have 4 rounds in total, okay? So just keeping that in mind, we'll use the weighted obliques as that sort of chaser to take a little bit of the edge off of the arms, give them a little extra time to recover, okay? All right, so let's get started. Everybody on your mat or on your chair, and as soon as you hear the horn, we're gonna do, you can use a much heavier weight than normal, so we're gonna drop the minimum. We're gonna say 10 to 25 reps. Find your sweet spot. Do the same number of reps for each arm. That's really important. And let's everybody get on your chairs, get your weights set up, and as soon as you hear that horn, we will go. There we are. So we are letting the weight down as far as possible. I obviously can't let it down super far because it's just a giant bottle. And exhaling on the effort is going to be really critical. And please be honest with yourself about the number of reps you can do. Like, that was only 10 reps, but I was not feeling confident about my ability to keep doing more reps and hang on to the form, okay? So I just did the 10 reps. Maybe next time I will try to add in some additional reps, but I'm gonna start out nice and easy. I haven't done this exercise in a while, so I'm gonna start out nice and easy, get it myself figured out in terms of intensity, and go from there, all right? So there's never anything wrong with starting out with a lower number of reps and then seeing if you can increase it set over set, okay? Absolutely nothing. And a lot, like challenge rating, we get to play around a lot with the ratio of the amount of weight to the amount of reps to the amount of time, all those ratios, and one doesn't have to go up just because another one went up. In fact, frequently, you might want to bring one down if you've brought one component up. So if I majorly increase the amount of weight that I'm using for something, then I'm probably, at the very least, for that first set, gonna want to decrease the number of reps that I do. And on the flip side, if I increase, you know, the amount of time that I'm doing the exercise, or majorly increase the number of reps that I'm doing, then I may want to decrease, at least briefly, the amount of weight that I'm using, okay? So it's important to pay attention to that and to balance those components, and because our goal is always form, right? Our goal is always, how can I maintain the form even when I'm challenging myself in some way? And, well, how you do that is by being smart. Being smart about what you're asking of your body and making sure that you're paying attention to all of the elements that go into this type of exercise. Because there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. And we want to make sure that we keep an eye on them all so that we're not injuring ourselves, because I don't want to injure myself, do you? That just doesn't seem fun. I've dealt with that for a number of years now. It really isn't fun. I can tell you from personal experience that, yeah, you do not want to end up having to deal with a chronic injury. And, you know, it may seem like I am just constantly talking about this, and I am, that's true, but the reason is, it is so important to make sure that we are paying attention to mitigating our risk of injury. And it's something that frequently we're not taught well when we start working out. And if you go back to exercise as an adult, it's much more likely that you are doing it in a situation where you don't actually have a professional of some kind working directly with you, you know? We go back to exercise as adults and, you know, we start running, which is obviously a fairly solitary activity, or, you know, we start using the weight room in the gym, but not having like a personal trainer or somebody to go over the equipment with us. And or we start taking classes, but classes where, you know, the teacher is not able to give that kind of focused, detailed form instruction all the time. And, you know, because of that, and especially if we come from a history of activity, it is all too likely that we go, oh, well, I'm fine, I can figure this out on my own, and then end up with chronic shoulder injury. Yeah, that's fun. That's super fun. So I talk about it a lot because it's important. Because if our goal is, I'm going to turn this way so I'm not constantly lifting the book in front of my face. But if our goal is to be able to maintain our mobility and our activity for as long as possible, and that can be an extremely long time, to be clear, you know, getting older and losing our mobility and our ability to do activities that we love. Those things don't have to go hand in hand. But the way that they don't go hand in hand is that if we start as early as possible, paying attention to form and safety while doing these types of activities, making sure to seek out instruction when we try out something new, and always reminding ourselves to focus on that form, and to focus on that form before we worry about anything else, before we worry about, oh, how am I gonna, you know, increase the intensity of my workout, how am I gonna up the amount of weight that I'm using. Before we ever get to that point, start with your form. Your form is going to carry you through. And yeah, so I talk about it a ton, but that's because I want y'all to be able to be moving around as long as possible. And the fewer injuries we have to deal with in our path to doing that, the better off we will all be. Okay? All right. So back to our abdominals, and remembering that it is the obliques that are generating the movement, okay? And that's quite literally. So I am not moving my arms at all. I am not, you know, trying to like pull a shoulder around or try to move with my chest or anything like that. I am feeling that contraction. Get out of the way. So I am feeling that contraction, and that contraction, that shortening of these muscles brings me over here, okay? And then the obliques on the other side go, hey, wait a minute, and they contract and they shorten, and that brings my torso over there, okay? So that is what we're doing, and that is why we're moving. And the point of the weight is to increase the amount of external force that the obliques have to work against in order to contract, okay? So the reason that they're able to contract is because they are able to generate more force than any of the external forces that are working on them, like gravity or like any weights that we're using. So the heavier the weight, the more of that force, the more of that strength that they are going to have to use in order to succeed at the movement, okay? Whoop, you mean I shouldn't have just started running on my own with no advice or help? Look, we all have stories like that. I have absolutely done that. I want to be clear that I have all too often not taken this advice, and it is something that I think about a lot more now that I am a teacher, you know, and now that I've put a little more thought into it. But I did that with running too. I had a little bit of help, you know, from a friend of mine, but I've done way too many half marathons where I have not trained, and I've just sort of leapt out there on my own. And I say this to make it clear that I understand, you know, we all do that, and particularly when we hit adulthood, and we're like, well, I just want to be able to do this thing, and I am the master of my fate and the captain of my soul. You know, so like, I get it, but also, I, as your teacher, am obligated to recommend against that, because, you know, it was weightlifting in particular that really impacted me, because all of my movement experience was with body weight activities. So I'm a dancer, right? Entirely a body weight activity. And so it's easier for me to pick up those types of activities that don't require me to be holding and moving heavy things. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try holding and moving heavy things. And how hard can it be? You know, I've been working out for my whole life, like, obviously I can do this. And again, one of the reasons that every time we do this class, that I talk about not loading not overloading your weaker side, is because that's exactly what I did. I was doing an exercise that I didn't have a lot of experience with, and it had a lot of different component parts, and I was using way too heavy a weight, and I lost control of the weight, and, you know, got it back, but by sort of wrenching my shoulder a little bit, and that's never gone away. So, you know, and I'm sure most of you have this experience, like our injury maps come with us for our entire lives, which is why it drives me crazy that we're so bad at teaching kids how to be safe and smart about their movement, because we're setting kids up for these massive injuries that they're then going to be dealing with the repercussions for the rest of their lives, you know, and we're doing this before they have enough experience or enough confidence to be able to say, hey, that doesn't seem healthy for me. We're, you know, we're the experts. We're supposed to be telling them what they need to know to stay safe. And all too often we fail at doing that. So then kids end up with these massive injuries that they then carry with them through the rest of their lives. But also, you know, when they become adults and they want to move back into fitness or movement or exercise of some kind, they are, they have a lifetime or at least a childhood's worth of bad habits, and no one around to help them break them. So I talk about it a lot because I want that to be more normalized. I want us to normalize a slower and steadier approach to exercise. I want us to normalize the idea that, okay, I may want to ramp up the amount of weight that I can use for something, but it's okay if that process takes me, you know, months or years. I'm not in a rush. A lot of us train like we're trying to fucking go to the Olympics, and it's like, we don't have to do that. We can get great workouts, keep ourselves fit and in shape, get all of the benefits of exercise, and not put ourselves through these crushing training regimens that, and like training for elite athletes is something that I'm not even going to touch. Partially because I do not have the expertise in that area, because training elite athletes has not ever been my focus. But for us, for those of us here on the stream, we want this as a way to help keep us healthy and moving and strong and have a little more stamina, a little more power. Like, that's our goal. And that is a goal that is achievable in much more safe ways than we frequently go about trying to achieve it. So I'm always going to focus in on this particular topic, my friends. I'm always going to be pushing on it. I'm always going to be reminding you, because we are here to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of our communities, our families, our societies. And that is a lifelong process, and so is this, and that's okay. All right. Hiya. I need to drink some water. Hey. I have not yet done my first run attempt. Whoa. Is there water in the window? Oh, lovely. Some rain this afternoon. Oh, I hear it. I love spring. Spring is so cool. I can't believe that it's already the end of May. Like, how did we get here? Spring! Yes! Yes! Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go find that video after class. Who am I kidding? Will is totally going to find that video and post it in the chat before I ever get there. Oh man, I do fucking love spring. It's true. And it's just such a pleasure to have so much rain this spring. See everything looking so green and lush and just bright and beautiful, especially around here. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great. Woo! Man, but yeah, I have not yet gone for my first run. So I definitely need to get that going. Ooh. Oh, all right. So that was us getting halfway through. Ha! Oh man. Amanda beat you to the punch. Oh man. Wow. I love you both. I mean, that's a good one to have bookmarked. Anybody, I can vouch for the 2 links that were just put into the chat. So anybody wanting to see a delightful and ridiculous video about a bro who just really fucking loves spring, click on that link, one of those links. They'll both take you to the right thing. Oh no, that's annoying. Huh, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's okay. It's a known issue, but no one has a solution. I feel like that is the story of my freaking life with tech issues, because, oh man, I'm having, at work, I'm having this known Zoom bug that is just mind-bogglingly frustrating, where, we have Zoom set up to, populate conference room information when we schedule things in Google Calendar. And occasionally, usually with recurring meetings, it has taken to being like, it has taken to scheduling the meeting for January 1st, 2099 or December 31st, 2098. I don't know why. No one on the internet appears to know why. I've found some notes on possible fixes, none of which have worked yet. And so I keep ending up with, really frustrated coworkers who are getting these like, this meeting ID is not valid notifications, but not all the time. And that's the kicker, is some of these 2099 meetings work just fine and everybody gets in and there's no issue. And others are just like, nah, screw you, your meeting's not for, another, 80 years. Come back later. Try again in 2099. I'm like, oh my God, I'm still on Zoom in 2099. All right. But yeah, so known issues with no solutions, just fun stuff. Oh man, how's everybody feeling on their bicep curls? I am definitely glad that I lowered the minimum, because that is a lot of weight for that particular exercise, and it was not going to go well if I was over here trying to do 15 reps of that. Oh no, it's the time travelers communicating with us. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but why via calendar? And it changes the title in Zoom, because the Zoom account's connected to my Google Calendar, and usually I can go into Zoom and see a list of my upcoming meetings, and they have the actual title of the meeting. Any of these 2099 ones just say, this is a calendar meeting. So if the time travelers are trying to send me a sign, they're not doing a very good job. Newfoundland time, interesting. I mean, basically technology is just weird. Nobody knows what's going on. Yeah, don't invest in Bitcoin. There you go. Blanche's tech corner for the class. Technology is weird. No one knows what's going on. Don't invest in Bitcoin. Perfect. I think that's all we need to know. Oh my goodness. All right. Remember that exhaling on the effort is a great tool for all of these exercises. And you don't hear me doing it a ton because, of course, I'm talking the whole time and I have to maintain that. But I definitely recommend nice, big exhalations as you are going into the most intensive part of the exercise, okay? And that's just gonna help you move through it. It's gonna help you be able to get that energy, move through the intensity, and yeah, it's just a really useful tool. Ways to oh no! Oh no! Weird. You figured it out when she told you how much the time is. Of course you did. Oh my goodness. Oh, technology. It's beautiful. Aspens have, if you've never seen an aspen in person, like these small, like much more roundish leaves, and they just tremble so beautifully in the wind. And right now it's a little windy outside, and they're just sort of going, they're fluttering like this. They're doing jazz hands, jazz leaf hands. And it is just so lovely to be able to see. Aspens are, let me tell you, all over the damn place out in Colorado. They are, I mean, they're a bit invasive. You know, truth be told, you can generally cut down an aspen with no issue because about 20 are gonna pop up somewhere else. And they're all connected to one another, so they're not like discrete trees. So there are a ton of aspens along this neighborhood, and they're all, you know, part of the same system, essentially, which is really fascinating. Trees are so cool. I love trees. They're just fascinating forms of life, and so beautiful, and they take such good care of us, and we are so bad at taking care of them. Oh, humanity. Oh, the huge manatee. Yeah, I am really glad that we're doing weight training today. Weight training feels like the thing to do. A little bit less intensive, less cardio intensity, which can get really, you know, really challenging. And this is why cross training is great. It gives us an opportunity not only to sort of work different muscles and muscle groups, but also to just, you know, exercise and move in different ways in utilizing different overall systems. So, you know, the energy system that I use for weight training may be it is going to be a slightly different system than the one that comes online when I'm running a half marathon, say, you know? So it's just, cross training gives us this wonderful opportunity to just use different parts of our body, different systems, different skill sets, and give other things a chance to rest and replenish and rejuvenate and all those other R words. But, oof. Oh, man. Yeah, core. But yeah, so it is really a good idea to cross train and, you know, to try and have a little more variation in the activities that you do. Even if you have one type of activity that is primarily what you focus on, have something else that you can, you know, sub in a few days a week that just gives you, again, works different systems, works different muscles, and, you know, can help to improve strength and stamina for, you know, for systems and muscles that maybe aren't getting hit by the usual activity that you're doing. So, cross training, yeah. And that can look so many different ways. That can look so many different ways. That can be doing a HIIT class once a week or twice a week, subbing off from your runs, or that can be, you know, going for a hike and then doing a strength training or something. All right, look at us. We are in our, yes, last, we're in our last sequence, my friends. This is the last time around. Check in on that form. You want it to be just as good as it was in round one. Woo! Okay? So make sure that you're checking. Make sure that your form is still solid, okay? And again, if you're struggling to get through the number of reps that you're trying to do without feeling like you're losing form, then lower the number of reps, all right? There is no shame in that. There's nothing wrong in that. In fact, it would be wrong to try and muscle through that, okay? All this like push through the pain bullshit, I mean, y'all have been with me long enough to know how much I hate that. So, yeah, we're here to learn how to differentiate between different types of pain, but we are also here to actually listen to our body when it's like, hey, something feels messed up, and to go, okay, let me change something until we figure out what's going on. All right, we are not here to be like, no, I must power through. It's not what we're doing. It's not what's happening here. I liked that character though. I'll have to keep that character in mind. I think I saw that character in a GIF somewhere at some point. All right. Getting ready. Last time for our bicep curls. Yeah. This is fascinating because I keep getting this sore place on one of my arms, and it's because of where the laundry detergent bottle is hitting me as I lift it up. And that is obviously something that you don't have to worry about when you're doing that exercise with the dumbbell. So again, there's just a lot of different components that go into using random stuff from around our house, and we have to be aware. We have to be paying attention. We have to be knowledgeable enough to know how to modify exercises based on the tools that we have at hand, and to make sure that we're keeping ourselves as safe as possible while we're going through it, right? Safety first, safety first, safety first. That's our goal. Yeah. All right. Ah, water. Water is so great. Like 3 cheers for hydration. Safety fourth at the very least. I let's get safety up the list a little bit, just a little bit more, like just the safety third or second maybe, please. I want y'all to stay safe. All right. Yeah. Okay, so our second to last time doing our obliques, and if you are not feeling your obliques right now, then that should be a hint that you are not actually using them for the exercise, okay? And I understand that tendency, and we talk about it a lot, how it can be far easier for us to not actually use our abdominals for our ab exercises and to try and compensate with other muscle groups. And then to be like, I just never feel anything when I'm doing these exercises. I must have really strong core already. And probably not, honestly. You probably just aren't actually using those muscle groups. And some of that just comes with experience, comes with practice, and comes with really paying focused attention when you're doing the exercise, being like, okay, do I feel that actual contraction of these muscles here to turn my torso? And what does that feel like? Okay, I have a sense of what that feels like. So now I can know or have a better sense of when I'm not actually using those muscles, all right? So, sometimes it takes us a while to really get in tune with different muscle groups and to be like, oh, that's what that's supposed to feel like. That's the experience I'm supposed to be having. And that's okay. Again, we're not trying to jump to the summit of the mountain right at once. So just, if that is something you've been experiencing where you're like, I never seem to feel anything when we're doing our ab exercises, then I really want you, the next time we do these, when we finish out with them, I want you to really focus all of your attention on those muscles and just see what you feel and learn what it feels like for them to be activating, for them to be contracting, and try to contract them without moving any other or using any other muscle groups, okay? Really just going, okay, I am going to generate the motion of my torso using only this. And of course, you're not going to be using only that because again, we're a holistic system. And no exercise is I am only using these muscles. But if you try to focus in and be like, I'm going to do this using only these muscles, that will start to help get you keyed in to how they feel when they're working, when they're contracting in different directions, the difference between the obliques versus the abdominals. And it's more information about your bodies, about how they work, about how they function, about how those muscles participate, and about how you can use them more safely and intelligently in order to exercise. Yeah! And speaking of, here we are doing our last run of the obliques. And I'm going to let the timer go all the way out, obviously, so that everybody has the opportunity to finish out in a timely fashion. And then we're not going to do major stretching, although I think we may do like a twist, because that's a lot of abdominal engagement. It would be nice to twist that out. I definitely feel it. I'll feel it more tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens. Oh, man, I do really love our Fridays. Your right hip's been feeling tight. Interesting. Okay. In the hip flexor or around back, like the hip is, you know, there are a lot of different points that can be that can fall under the umbrella of my hip. Front and side. Okay, so the Samson stretches will be good for that. Obviously, that helps a lot. Is it pain or is it just feeling tight? Ooh, timer's almost done. Da da da. Hopefully you're all finished out. And yeah. Tight, mostly pain if I'm in one position for a while. Okay, yeah, and again, getting up, setting timers for ourselves to just like get up during the day and move around and be like, hello, I'm moving around, is really good. Actually, I think we might do a child's pose in a second. So let's start with just letting our arms swing back and forth, okay? And I'm not like pushing them violently back and forth. So I'm feeling a little stretch in the shoulders, but nothing super intense. And I'm gonna bring one arm up, cross the body, hold it just above the elbow, pull that upper arm into the chest, and get that nice stretch in the shoulder and going into the tricep. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. And release. Swing those arms a couple more times, then other arm up and across. Nice breaths while you're here, slow and steady. Obviously, we're not really having to slow our heart rate down that much, but nice stretch right there. All right, release. And then let's do interlacing our fingers together behind our backs, and then folding forward from the hips and letting the arms fall down towards the floor as far as they can go. You know, gravity, for once, getting to help intensify some of that stretch in the shoulders. And because we don't have our hands on the ground, we can also bring our torso a little bit closer to the thighs and get a hamstring stretch in there as well. And then bend your knees, roll back up. That helps to bring the arms back down. And then let's do a child's pose. Speaking of hips, that'll help open them up a little bit. So again, yoga terminology, my standard caveat, I am not a yoga instructor. So, you know, these are things that I've sort of grabbed from various yoga classes. But I am not a yoga instructor. I do not purport to be. So let's sit back on our heels. So first, just sit back on your heels. And then I want you to open your knees out so that they are basically on either side of your mat, okay? It's like a foot and a half apart. And then we want to just fold over at the hips and lay our torso forward My forehead is on the ground, and I'm just going to try and settle in as much as possible. And we're going to take 4 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And then sort of push forward, up onto your hands and knees, and let's curve the back. And then bow it like this, and look forward, curve the back, and then bow it. Just do that a couple of times, just to stretch your back muscles out a bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our knees as far apart on the floor as we can. And we're going to lie, so I'm on my stomach, and my hips are hopefully on the floor, or as close as they can get, okay? And we're just going to let the feet sort of dangle. You're going to feel a lot of intensity in the hips, so be gentle with yourself, all right? Keep breathing, nice deep breaths. This is really opening up the hips. You will maybe notice differences in your hip flexibility here, so I definitely see it in one foot is much lower towards the ground than the other. And we want to take those 4 deep breaths here, okay? Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And now you can just bring your legs out to the floor and then bring them together behind you. And roll up awkwardly, grunting and groaning. And we're done. All right. Hiya. Nice to get a little hip stretching in there, honestly. I need to reach out to some of my dancer friends and get some good stretches to start using in class. Yeah, no, that last one is a great way to notice just how great the difference in your hip flexibility is. And yep, left foot for me too. Left foot is almost on the floor. Right foot is like, hello, I'm waving around in the air a little bit. So, but that's a really nice hip opener stretch. Definitely not one that I recommend doing, just like, I'm just going to do this stretch. Like, warming up a little bit is going to make it more effective. My right side is where yeah. And like, obviously, we can still move, we can still work out, we can still lead awesomely active lives. But our injuries do create parts of our system that we are going to have to make modifications for, pay attention to, make sure that we're not doing movements or activities that are going to exacerbate things. So, it's another reason why I really, really try to focus us in on mitigating our risk of injury, and there's no way to 100% remove it. Obviously, you can do everything right and still end up with an injury, and that's just a fact of life. But there's a lot that we can do to reduce that risk that we don't do. there's also a lot that we can do to build back after an injury, but not all injuries can be fully moved on from. And so the more that we can just reduce our risk of injury altogether, I think the better off we are. Hey. Oh, but that was so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today, my loves. That was precisely what I needed. You know, hard work, but not intense on my cardiovascular system. I think that system's feeling very overwhelmed right now, and obviously we do a ton of body weight in this class, and I do stuff outside of class that tends to work those systems as well. So having more opportunities to do something that is, again, it's cross training for me. This strength class is cross training for me, and it cleared your head. I'm really glad. And that's, you know, when exercise is at its best, it's helping us to feel healthier in body and in mind, and that's a really powerful thing. It's one of the reasons I love it. And I'm always happy to have y'all joining me. We've got one more class this week. It's going to be the weekend kickoff tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class, so definitely join in for that. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast, so definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support more long-term. Either way, your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help keep growing this channel, growing this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome fitness class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a great community here, and the more the merrier. So I'm going to finish off this water, and I hope you do too. Hydration. I might take a shower. I'm definitely going to play more Mass Effect, because that's, you know, just what I'm doing right now with my life, is playing Mass Effect. Make sure to get some food in you, my friends. Not only, and you know, I feel like this is top of mind for me because, you know, not only exercise, but also on weeks where my mental health is a little rougher, my hunger signals tend to go a little bit off the rails. And I know that I have not been eating well or much over the course of this week. So if that's something that you've been struggling with as well, then this is me reminding you to grab something to eat. I don't care what it is. It can be a block of cheese. It can be a handful of chips. Just try and get something into your system. I know that that can feel really difficult to do sometimes. Hopefully, working out has kickstarted some of those hunger signals for you a little bit, the way that it has for me. But this is Fitness Friend reminding you that feeding yourself is important, okay? And, you know, you may not be able to do like 100% a gourmet meal or something, but you can do a deconstructed sandwich. You know, you can do spoon peanut butter and a slice of bread. You can, there's so many things that you can do. Like grazing, totally acceptable. All right? So go feed yourself. Go grab some water. Go watch that Max Effect. Oh my. Oh, pad thai. Dang it. Now I'm hungry. You know what? I'm going to go downstairs and have some pork green chili. Get some food. Take that celebratory post-workout shower. Take care of yourselves. And I will see all of you back here again tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.